All right. Sorry for the delay, but let's continue our discussion. I mean, if you are tired, you can drop out. Let me know. For me, I can keep going. I really like the conversation. I like the tone where we are going and get to talk about specific things. So now before we move on, I know that I still have Lee questions in waiting. So I want to show you this scene. Where am I? Sorry. Hold on. Let me change that screen a bit. Okay, let me try to do it one more time. Okay, I have this as a gift. So let's do this.
외동딸 네 사촌
외동딸 일리노이
일리노이 시카고
네 사촌.
How cool is that? Like, that is very cool. I was like, okay, it's like 1 second. Knowledge. All right, Lee, go on with your questions.
Okay, it's not really a questions, but I was trying to say that you know the meaning inside the title, and you know because I realized that you know there's always a parasite part inside each one of us. Like no matter we are poor or rich or talented or unemployed, we always have to depend on others, right? Yeah. So what is it for you? What do you think about the parasite? The name of the movies. Who is the real parasite? Yeah, something like that.
I see that coming.
Who is the
real parasite? That's
yeah, Somphol.
That's the hard one.
Yeah, I could go on and on, but I like my guests to have enjoyed themselves. Let's go with Director Key.
Well, in the movie, just stories like the just only poor guys is like a parasite, but I think maybe this is true. We are all parasite. I mean, whether they are rich or poor or the country or every single person could be a parasite to another one. I mean, it has good points or at the same time bad point. I mean, pros and cons. But we are human and we are people who need some help from the other guys. So I think everyone is parasite, which has not I mean, it is not bad meaning. I mean, my interpretation is that we need to give some help to each other. I mean, it is very positive thing.
I think that's very positive considering the movie. That's not so positive. All right, Christine, what's your thought on it?
Yeah, so this movie is, you know, the movie is about human dignity and showing respect to each other, depending on how respectful against to each other. We can be parasite or coexist or symbiosis. That's what Guy wants to say. We are all symbiosis in a good way. But yes, some people's perspective, from someone's perspective, that symbiosis feels like they feel it's parasite, not in a good way, but in bad way they think it's the parasite. Maybe so. From the perspective of the rich people, they might think that the two full families are parasite to them. But thinking about the rich people, they also parasite to their service from theirs. So yeah, we all help each other and live together in that way.
What about you,
Yeah.
Lee? What's your thought about the Parasite as a title, as relation to this movie?
Yeah. I mean, when I've seen the second half part, I realized that even the poorer family, like the previous housekeeper, they even live depends on the rich. So it's not only one parasite here, but there's actually a lot parasites in the world. Even we cannot recognize all of them. But just like you said, I totally agree with a Christian and Key about it. Each of us is have the parasite part inside of us. But what the life works. It works that way. We cannot create everything. We have to depend on others, some particular areas. Yeah, so that is quite a brilliant title, a brilliant name for me. It's quite interesting.
I have a few things to say about that. The first one is the director Bong on record was saying that originally he didn't think of the name Parasite. He think of the name, his name about. Can you say that? Copy something like from rocks to identical rocks or something. The original name so that he thought about before Parasite. Do you know about that?
I think I have read about it, but I cannot recall the name, the original name.
Right. So the other point is also that when I watch a review video on YouTube, one of the things they say originally the movie actually portray the Kim family as parasiting on the rich family because there's so many scenes. It's like we are earning all this income from that family, and the four of us is working now. The money coming to our family, and that's sort of like this supporting the family. And also there's also another theme, when that poor guy who was trapped underground, and he was like, he's represent another lower class, which is even lower than semi-basement, because the Kim family still have like sunlight, and this guy have no sunlight because he live underground, so he's in lower tier than the Kim. And then, however, this guy do not actually portray the rich people as villain, right? They think rich people is really like, I am living based on Mr. Park, right? Mr. Park, right? And he show respect, right? So for him, respect, right? So,
yes, thank you for feed me. Thank you for give me accommodation.
Yeah. And I think he said that not once when he tapped his head on that Morse code things. And, And when he came out, he got stabbed, and he looked at Mr. Park and like, I know you, respect, I know you. And Mr. Park was like, do I know you? So it symbolized the fact that there are division of opinion within the classes. Some look at the rich family as necessity.
The poor cannot be heard, cannot be listened, no matter how hard they try. They try to show the respect, but nobody really listen to them, to support them or to take any action to their poverty.
This is when you say the poor do not really have their voice heard. Can you give us a bit more context? I am curious to see where you get that from.
Okay, all right. Because the kid from the rich family, he actually can understand the message that the guy or the underground guy give, but he kind of didn't do anything against it, like to try to tell it to his parents or something. He just didn't take any action. So I guess it is the metaphor about, you know, the difference between different class. Like the poor cannot be listened, or, you know, or even if the message they gave is clear enough, but, you know, they never be exposed by the upper class. Like the upper class, the rich, they always ignore the message and don't give any support and don't give any empathy to the lower class. I mean,
Right. I like it that we have opportunity for Lee to practice a lot of good words, you know, sympathy and empathy, and that's really all the purpose.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, it's the purpose of this session, right? Because we get to expand our vocabulary and talk about something that we care about, and really good opportunity to do that. I'd like to actually make my next question a bit harder. Well, not on purpose, but when I look at it, this is probably the harder things that I haven't found anyone decoding it perfectly yet. The emerging of the stone into the movie. The stone keep coming back in so many time frame, in so many scenes, and sometimes it's come by itself, sometimes it come underwater, and sometimes twice it's come underwater, and one is putting underwater, the other one taking out of the water. And the stone also came out at one point, very closer near the water. That is the one scene where stone was on the floor, and there is water on the floor mixing with blood. And that is also where the stone is. And the stone also cling to Kevin. Kevin at one point hold on to this stone and like, you know, stone is actually attached to me for one reason. Now, tell me, what is it all about? Like, what does the stone represent in your opinion? Let's start with who want to go first.
Me?
Okay.
I go first.
Please.
Yeah, landscape stone. Yeah, stone is a landscape stone. It's quite a representative prop for rich family. They belong to some of it, but this stone is really unmatched with their poor family. But when the house is flooded, Tudor does not take care of his clothes or cell phone or other materials, but this stone, he took care of it, even in the flooded situation. So his father, the driver, asked him, "Why did you take that out? Just throw them away." But he said, "It sticks to me. That stone is stick to me." So in the case, the stone would be complex or intricate meaning to him, such as he's angered, or it would be plans that only Tudor has, the Q has. So that's why he keep stick to it. He never fell a bit, because that stone itself to him is like his dream to become rich, become and move to upper class. That's kind of his hope, or dreams are kind of mixed things. So he keep carried on it.
Yeah, you know, that stone is supposed to bring fortune and wealthy to the Kim family, but it didn't, you know, have a lot. Instead, it become kind of weapon against Kigu.
Yeah, at the last end.
Yeah, at the last sense. And I don't know if I'm wrong, but I kind of, you know, think that the Bong Joon-ho kind of have put a lot of effort into building the meaning of the stone. For the rich, it's just a decoration, and it kind of brings fortune for the family. But for the poor, it's nothing more than a burden. It's nothing but you know, a weapon, even against them. And the last scene, as you can see, that they Kigu, he bring it back to the water. It
Water.
means he realized that it is reality, and he has to accept the way it is. He let it go and back to his plan, and really, have realized the situation for that.
Oh, that's the first time I see this. I know that at one point, that's the last time I see that stone appearing as toward the end. And when he started having dream, and it was his dream. Actually, that sequence was during his dream. One of the sequences his dream, he laid out a stone, put it back to the water, and I never thought that's the symbol of letting go of the stone. Because throughout the movie, he's like, I keep attaching to me. I don't know whether I'm attaching to it or it keep attaching to me. One way or another, we go together. And that's the only scene that I see that he actually let it go, put it back to the water. All right, thank you. That's a very good point. Director Key, what do you think about the stone?
Yeah, actually, in the interview with the Bong director Bong, he said that the stone is just stone. It doesn't symbolize anything.
Huh?
But I think
Okay.
Maybe
yeah, the Bong
think
director
too
Bong
much.
said like that. But I think the like Park said, he didn't want someone who crossed the line. That line is very the metaphorical. I mean, the Bong director thinks the the gap between the rich and poor cannot be demolished. I mean, they admit there is some war between never be broken between the rich and poor. So, but the stone is from the rich families. So the queue does not supposed to have that stone. I mean, which is not belong to poor people. But that is the start point of unfortunate accident. So I think the stone is kind of the another thing which is from the other word. I mean, so I think the director Bong is saying that we are not supposed to cross the line. So it means we have to admit there is just something big war between the rich and poor, but we have to admit the each one's situation, and we have to make some manner towards each other. Yeah,
Right.
I think so.
So do you see that as something that it doesn't symbolize anything? It's just there to move the story forward in many respects. It does occur to me that the relationship when the stone is given to Kevin, the rich guy, his rich friend, and his rich friend has been referred to multiple times by Kim family as a very good rich people who has a strong bonding with the family. It's like because of your friend we get a job, like the four of us get a job, and that's because of starting with your friend, and he's the one who gave us that stone. So that's the class bonding. So in the society, sometimes you have that bonding between people from different classes. And when I look at it, it's also, I think it's recurring theme as well. It's not subtle, because Kevin keep having that relationship between him and the upper class. The second time his relationship with Dahe is very similar. He's like have this strong relationship with her, and he thought about, and the girl loved him. Both the upper class people loved him. So that's just a side note, not related to the stone per se. Now, the stone itself, actually, Lee says represent anger. At one point, I think someone saying that also representing hope.
I felt anger.
You think of anger as well. Now, I have a specific question to ask. It's prominent in the plot because at one point at the gym, his father asked him like about the stone, and next day he said, "I'm so sorry about everything," and then he sort of start. And this is relating to what you said before about plan and no plan. And Kevin always seemed to be the guy with the plan. And he somehow, the father is always the guy who have no plan. Okay.
It's supposed to be the father who leads the family, but he didn't.
He has a strange philosophy about not having plan, right? He explained himself. Now, Kevin on the next day turned up. That very seriously, like, am I belong here and this and that, like these people are beautiful. But then at one point he take the stone out of his backpack or luggage or package or whatever, that bag, and he take that stone heading toward the basement of the house. What do you think his plan was?
To kill the basement guy.
Is that
the parasite?
Is that what you think? Like he planned to kill the guy?
Yes.
And be the only parasite to this family.
Parasite rival.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, the former housekeeper Moon Gwang asked Chungsu, please let's be symbiosis. Let's live together like this. But Chungsu was the one who declined that offer. No, we are different from you. Even though they live in a semi-basement, but they live, only the reason for they live in basement, they think they are different. That's how funny. And also ironic. They feel they also feel discriminated by the rich people, but they also discriminate just a little bit lower than them. That's how funny it is.
Yeah, I think this theme actually coming up in the topic of the portrayal of the characters. The rich is not a villain. The poor is not always a hero. And it's the mix of this gray area in terms of emotion, and it turned. There's one scene that someone picked up. When they go back home, when these guys are like 3 of them go back home when the flood is happening, and there's a small moment where someone brings something out of their basement and say, "Can you help me?" And then this driver is like, "No, I'm in a hurry. I need to do my thing." So that's when you can tell that within the same lower class, there are tiers within the lower class, and they're not always helpful to each other.
Yeah, they fight each other.
They don't have the unity among themselves. I think that's message is short, but after you notice that it's quite strong. And then of course every time the basement people try to come up, they were kicked down again, right? Because Chun Suk was like kick that lady down more than once. She was a poor person. He tried to come up and do a kick down an aisle, like back down the stair.
So brutal.
She's so brutal as well. It's like I thought she was dead in that scene. All right, so we covered that part. All right, what about this? There is another part that's also present throughout the movie, and that's be subtle in many cases for some people. The smell. The smell. The smell is a character in this movie.
The driver, you mean?
No, the smell, like
A smell.
the odor. Yeah, the smell.
I thought it's mayo.
The smell, the odor.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
All right, thank you so much. The smell, the odor. That's just like a character throughout the movies. So now, who want to go first on that point?
So let me give my opinion about that. Yeah, so I think we all know that is the smell of the poverty, which means the rich never, have chance to experience that kind of smell. They never have chance to go to the subway or, or in
from
the
old people.
dark places like this. Yeah. Okay, so the smell for me is some kind of for the rich people, they didn't have the empathy again to the poor because they don't have the same situation, so it's unnecessary for them to suffer such things. They just want to enjoy their life the way it is. Yeah, and they use it as a light. And one of the quote for the Mr. Park is that if someone crossed his line and it's unacceptable for him to cross the line, he draw the line, and he don't want any poor people from lower class kind of break this line. He kind of keep it for himself. I think that shows some selfish part about the rich, about the upper class one. That's my opinion.
Right. What do you think about that point, Key? The smell, because I noticed that you told me before, because at one point, right, I talked to Key the first time, and you know how much I love this character Jessica, and when she got stabbed and she was dying, and like she was dying, I'm like like, shit, what's going on? And I do not understand his father's decision, right? Because they're like, Mr. Park was like, give me the key. We just gonna bring this guy to hospital. And I thought, like, what's an odd decision that why don't you just give him the key and then he can bring everyone to hospital? But then the driver make an odd decision to just stab the guy. And now, no one has any hope of reaching hospital. It's just so odd. And then Miss Key told me about, like, you need to pay attention to the scene where this guy make this,
hold his nose, not to smell the.
So
things could be better if he didn't do that, like free the key and rescue the son, and then recover his family members. If he didn't, like a stupid behavior.
Yeah.
Actually, when I go back and watch this scene today, and the first time I didn't pick it up, my thought is always that Mr. Park is a nice guy. And he do have some rules, but he's a nice guy. And I thought in that scene, he would want to help Jessica as well. However, when I rewatch it, I see that what happens so clear in that scene is he take his son, Jason, and both of them, the Parks, actually focusing on getting the son to the hospital, and they ignore Jessica entirely. And that is when that when he made that not trying to breathe in, block the smell out. It's not only because the smell is offensive, but it's also because that the driver see that this guy do not pay attention to his daughter as well. I think that's so clear that to me that even if he's not stabbing the guy, I mean, I don't think Jessica would survive that scene. So what do you think, Key? I have 5 minutes for you. Oh, I have 10 minutes for you. Tell us a bit more about that smell and how the director used that smell to carry the story.
Well, I think the smelling could be a kind of excuse, which is like the barrier between rich and poor, because the Parks family could not figure out the smelling from the poor guys at the first time. As I remember, the kids, Dasong, started the smelling something from the poor family. So since then, the rich guys start to feel bad smelling from poor guys. So I think the smelling is sort of excuse, or how to say that, it's kind of prejudice, or the something rich people could have about the poor people. I mean, yeah, the smelling is a very good element in movie, because we cannot smell something watching movies. Just we can watch the videos only. So that is kind of a good element which director could express for this interesting code. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that when I watch the review video today, I've seen so many scenes that these come up. For example, one of the prominent scenes that I miss even when I watch it, you know, because the Mrs. Park is so nice and naive, and like she's like charismatic, and she walk around nicely, and then, you know, at one point, when after the gym, Mr. Park drive the car for her, and then they were on the car, and she put her foot like up the up the, what do you call, up the seat, and she was in the reclining position talking to her friend, and and then she just like she started to
Smell,
to smell something coming from Mr. Park. But then the camera, the way that the camera is shooting that scene, it's like her feet, it's right on, almost like at the same level as Mr. The driver. Driver head.
Exactly.
And then she was like rocking her nose. It's like, what is the first time I seen some like nice lady, like it's like, but she's so nice. She's not gonna make the scene. She's just like, okay, I'm just going to open the roll down the window and continue my conversation with my friend without like complaining. But she did make an eye to suggest that the smell actually comes from the driver, but she doesn't make a big deal out of that. So that's also very that's the first time that I picked that up. I actually need to rewind, because if I don't see the review video, I would miss that part.
Great.
So it's very critical to the story. What else do I have actually? Anything that you want to add? Anything that we missed so far? I know that I forget something about the movie that I want to talk about. Lee, anything in your question list?
When I really think about the ending, I don't know your favorite character, Jessica. Why she have to die?
Yeah.
I don't know why she's the one to die in the movie, because she seems like the only one who really fits in the rich family. She comes very naturally acting and professional in the scripts that she wrote earlier, but at the end she seems like not this. She doesn't deserve this ending. I don't know if you have any opinion about this.
Yes, actually, lots of Korean viewers have the same opinion as you. Why should you kill the Jessica? She's the innocent one.
He is innocent, yeah. She's not supposed to die ever. She's not supposed to die. Like that is absolutely the wrong decision. Like, man, like what are you doing? Like, why did you kill Jessica? Kill someone else.
Yeah. You know, the rest of the families are doing the bad things to go into the rich family. They replace them on the other positions, but Jessica is the one who only creates her job as an art therapist, and she's the most intelligent and talented girl in her family. But that's why the tutor said, think of the scene that Jessica is in her rich family's tub and bathing. You really look like a rich girl.
Yes.
Can you remember that scene? Yeah.
I remember that, yeah. Who would forget that scene?
Mhm. So yeah, according to the poem, the reason he killed the Jessica is to make more sin dramatically. So to kill the one who has no guilty or no crime or no bad for that. So yeah, to make the sin more dramatically, that's the only reason to he killed her.
What do you think, he?
Yeah, I mean, the Jessica's death could be make the most tragedy. I mean, the other guy, if the other guy would died, I mean, the less tragedy, I think.
Yeah, I
because
agree,
the
yeah.
Jessica was innocent, and I mean, she's lovely, and if she died, maybe could be the felt more tragedy.
That works actually, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe sad. It works.
Yeah, it worked for you.
So that's I want to now I look at my notes, and we talk about Jessica and tragic death. Now I have two things that I have in my list, and I want to ask these questions. You know, when Kevin was first time he wake up after his head was get knocked, and after however long, and he on purpose the director have this detective and a doctor, and Kevin was saying he was smiling, he's laughing and say, I talked to that detective that doesn't look like a detective, and that doctor that doesn't look like a doctor. What's the real meaning of that? Like, what the heck is that all about?
I think the rich guys who doesn't look like rich guys, the poor guys are who are not supposed to be poor guys. I mean, I think the theme image the same thing. Everybody not supposed to be divided into the other guys, but the same thing is in that movie. The meaning, I think the meaning is the same thing in the whole the movie.
Right. Did you pick that up? I mean, does anyone else see that scene similar to me when I watched that scene the first time? Even on the plane, I was like, what the heck is this all about? Doctor that doesn't look like a doctor, and detective doesn't look like a detective. I tell you what that scene does. They have this like nice shaving guy, okay, and then and have this like more older guy, who actually, if they change the role, the detective